Hello and welcome, my name is Crash, and I had literally just posted on Twitter yesterday or 2 days ago that I was going to take a break on videos about Shonen Jump, but then Viz had to do something. So on Twitter, Viz was actually posting a picture of Bleach, I think promoting the new volume, or the volume 1, 21st anniversary version, I guess, and then someone said that Bleach was the best of the big three. And then Viz replied with a tweet that it has since deleted, but I have a screenshot of it here. It says, who are the big three really? Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, or Bleach? I don't think there's actually a defined big three, and it got ratioed and everything. And there was a lot of discussion and conversation. This is kind of like a discussion and conversation that happens on Twitter and on the community. I feel like every couple of months, and it's gonna happen again probably in October. So I just kind of wanted to, just do a small video on the topic, because I feel like there's so much misconception around the big three. And first of all, I just want to say that I already did a video on the history of the big three. It's an old video by now, but I still think it holds decently well. I'm gonna leave a link to it at the end of the video so you can watch it for yourself. But this video is gonna be more about like some misconceptions and things like that. Just kind of like an impromptu video about it. The first thing we need to answer, I feel, is exactly who the big three are, right? So for those that don't know what the term big three means, big three is a term used in the anime and manga community to represent One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. And we're going to be talking about why is that. This says that it's actually, there's not actually defined big three. There is. It's Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. Now Dragon Ball is thrown sometimes in there. Some people will say things like Hunter x Hunter, or Gintama, or FullMetal, or Attack on Titan, or there's the new big three with My Hero, Black Clover, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man. There's not really a new big three, as you can see. There's a lot of like new titles that are pretty big. There's JoJo's, Saint Seiya. I feel like a lot of people just use the big three as a way to attack whatever the manga that they don't like that is part of the big three, either Naruto, One Piece, or Bleach, and just like replace it with a manga that they do like and they think it's popular. And that brings a lot of arguments in the community, always, all the time, about why is the big three these three in specific. Why isn't there other big three? Why can't I just call wherever I want the big three? And the answer for that last question, if you want to call your big three, which some people do, some people say like my big three is this, and this, you're free to do so. That's kind of like your opinion. That's just your top three manga or your top three anime. But the big three in terms of the community is again a specific term used for specific manga. Why Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece? If you look at those three, I feel like it is kind of obvious. All of these three manga are, as the title says, big. They all released around the same time. One Piece in 1997, Naruto in 1999, and Bleach in 1991. With the anime of them coming out in 1999 for One Piece, 2001 for Naruto, I think, and then 2004 for Bleach. I'm not really sure about the actual release date of Naruto. I think it is 2001. And because of all of those anime got really popular in the West, people in the community started calling it the big three. It helped that these three got released around the mid-2000s boom of anime fans that I was kind of part of. And also, I feel like they also helped make that boom. They were anime that everyone knew, that like you joined the community, you started watching anime most likely by watching one of these three. Most people probably started with Naruto, but there's a lot of people, like for me, for example, I started with One Piece. There were a lot of people that started with Bleach. Of course, there are a lot of people that do start with Dragon Ball. I feel like that's always been the case, but the reason why Dragon Ball is not really considered part of the big three is because Dragon Ball, if we compare it to the others, it really doesn't fit in. It's a manga from 1986. It's an anime that has been popular for a long time. I watched Dragon Ball when I was a little kid. I actually don't remember a world without Dragon Ball, so I think by 1996 or something, I was already watching it. So by the time that, that we got into the era of One Piece, of Naruto, and Bleach, Dragon Ball was not part of that conversation. Dragon Ball was something from, I guess, a bygone era that was still relevant, and would become more relevant in later years with with Super and things like that. Now, a lot of people still want to argue, why is this free manga? And more specifically, they kind of use it to trash Bleach. A lot of people say that Bleach should not be part of the big three, and I just wanted to actually tackle a counter argument, because there's a lot of people that say that the big three are One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach because Shueisha said so. A lot of people were attacking Viz by saying, like, you are saying this, but your parent company, Shueisha, which is the company that owns also Weekly Shonen Jump, has said that the big three are these three, but that's not true. The big three is not something that Shueisha made. It's not a term that they use to promote themselves. Now, James Amson, I think, made a video on Bleach and the Big Three, and he used some examples of authors citing the Big Three together, citing like their influences as Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, and saying that these were the most important manga at the time, that they were the pillars of Jump. But never have I seen the authors or any material, both from Viz and from Shueisha, calling these three the big three. That's not a thing. The term came specifically from Western forums, by people who were getting into anime, and then it's just starts calling the big three anime of the time the big three. Because this is from the mid 2000s, that already removes things like Demon Slayer or Attack on Titan or Jujutsu Kaisen or things like that. All those anime came after. It's the same reason as to why you don't consider Dragon Ball part of the big three. There are some people that may argue for other manga. Now, the two ones that I generally feel like should be considered, should be argued with, are FullMetal Alchemist and Death Note. I've said this on my previous video. I feel like Death Note is a little bit too small in terms of like size to be part of the big three. It lasted for about a year. Sure, it is popular. Sure, it was a Shonen Jump manga that was relevant at the same time that these three were relevant, but the size, the style, it's not comparable to the big three. The other one is FullMetal Alchemist. Now, FullMetal Alchemist came out around the same time, was pretty big. It lasted, I think, for 10 years or 11 years. It got in 27 volumes. It was popular around the same time, and it's still considered, at least on Mall, the best anime ever, at least the Brotherhood version, which is the adaptation of the manga. So why isn't FullMetal considered like the big three? And at the time, I was kind of considered, FullMetal kind of like the big four of anime. But then FullMetal is not from Shonen Jump. But even if you're like considering like why, like if it's not an official term, if it's just used in forums and wherever to talk about popular anime, then why isn't FullMetal be able to consider part of the big three, or one of the big three? So I actually went on Google Trends and we did some researches about like comparing the research term from 2004, which is the oldest we can get, to the present, and I was actually very, very surprised to realize that FullMetal, other than, it seems like at the very beginning of like 2005 maybe, yeah, it after 2006 the other three just kind of like skyrocketed. Naruto was already up above all the others. I'm gonna show the graph here, but all the other, like Naruto's above all the others. Like FullMetal, which is a red line in here, it's never above or even like close to the others for the most part. It's always like the bottom of the list. That actually surprised me a lot, especially around like the 2010s and whatever, where I suppose FullMetal would still be popular because of the Brotherhood. It's not at all, which is strange. Same thing with Death Note, however. If we do this with Death Note. The Death Note graph, like it's very similar to FullMetal. And what this tells me that I actually didn't knew is that the big three are a lot more popular than Death Note and FullMetal Alchemist. And I've seen a lot of people tell me that Bleach should not be part of the big three because, you know, they didn't heard of Bleach. They heard of Death Note first, they heard of FullMetal first, they heard of Dragon Ball first, but not Bleach. Bleach was the last one that they heard about. And sure, but what this graph tells me is that that's not necessarily true. Bleach seems to be more popular in the internet than the other two, pretty much always. And then I decided to, again, the red line on this graph that I'm going to show you is Dragon Ball. So popularity of Dragon Ball from 2004 all the way to the end. And I find it interesting, like, yeah, Dragon Ball has been more popular than Bleach. If you want to talk about the more popular at the time, regardless of when they were released, maybe Dragon Ball has an argument for being the big three. But I find really interesting is that Bleach, till not really recently, I guess, but for the majority of 2000s, for the entirety of 2000s, Bleach was actually more popular than One Piece. Which, you know, which to me means that if you want to argue, and this is me as a big One Piece fan, as One Piece has the top manga, if you want to call the big three just based on popularity in the internet, then it makes more sense to remove One Piece than Bleach. Now, Bleach has fallen a little bit in, not a little bit, but has fallen in popularity, and One Piece has since rose in popularity within the last, 10 years or so. So I can see why for new people now, you can see like One Piece and Naruto more than Bleach. But you have to understand that big three, the concept of the big three, wasn't something that just happened. It's not something recent. Again, it's something from the mid-2000s. And in the mid-2000s, even now, Bleach is popular. If you tell me like Bleach isn't popular, you're wrong. Especially in the last couple of years, especially in the last 2-3 years, Bleach has seen a resurgence in popularity. Back in the 2000s, Bleach was very much, apparently the second or like most popular manga at the time. Again, without excluding Dragon Ball, which Dragon Ball had ended, I think the anime of Dragon Ball ended in 1999. There's probably like the GT, I don't know when the GT ended, but it's probably like 2001 or something. If not, before. Because I remember watching GT when I was a kid, and I remember watching the end of GT as a kid as well. I also want to talk at the sales, because a lot of people, this is a Western term, a lot of people do like to bring up the sales. If we bring up the sales, One Piece is the best-selling manga of all time. It belongs in the big three. Naruto has 250 million manga, 250 million copies. Belongs in the big three. Naruto is actually the third best Shonen Jump manga, and the second best is Dragon Ball. So that's probably where the argument of One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Naruto comes from. But again, if you have in mind that it is a movement of a specific time, the mid-2000s, we quickly realized that the second best-selling manga from Shueisha, from Shonen Jump, in the mid-2000s was Bleach. Actually, Bleach is the second best-selling manga of Shonen Jump to have been released post-2000. The only manga that has sold more than Bleach that has been released post-2000 is Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. That's the only one that has managed to surpass Bleach's 130 million sales, which currently has 150 million, probably is going to keep rising for a little bit more. Everything else, like for example, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has 10 million sales less than Bleach. I don't even see like any other, like Under Hunter, 84 million, FullMetal Alchemist, 80 million, it's not Shueisha, but it's less. Jujutsu Kaisen, pretty high for what it is right now, but it's 65 million, so we haven't actually have any manga that has surpassed Bleach, other than Demon Slayer, which has been an outlier. And even like the manga that is above Bleach, like if you want to just talk about sales and talk about popularity, you know what manga has sold more than Bleach, the one right above Bleach? It's Oishimbo. Now Oishimbo, I want to know how many of you people have read or have heard about Oishimbo, because that thing has 135 million copies. We also have Kochikame. That one, to be fair, I've heard of Kochikame before I even heard of One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach, because it was airing when I was a kid. But most people probably haven't heard, or if they have heard, I bet a lot of my audience has heard of Kochikame, but it's not more popular than Bleach. Slam Dunk, kind of popular, I wouldn't say it's more popular than Bleach. Go-Go 13, mostly famous for being a bestseller manga in the West. Detective Conan, not as popular as Bleach. It is kind of popular still. The Doraemon, I love it. Again, it's another manga that I've heard more than One Piece, more than Bleach, more than Bleach and more than Naruto, but also not really a manga that is, very, very popular all around. It is popular in certain countries, not all around. I don't see how, to some people, it's so obvious that Bleach shouldn't be part of the big three, right? It has a lot of sales. It is incredibly popular. Like, okay, fine, Dragon Ball has more popularity. Dragon Ball has a little bit more sales. Well, it's double the sales. But, again, not a thing in the mid-2000s. In the mid-2000s, there was no Dragon Ball anime, there was no Dragon Ball manga. I really doubt, actually, I know for a fact, at least in the Oricons from 2008 to 2020, or at least 2017, which is the last time that Bleach appeared in the Oricon, from 2008 to 2017, Dragon Ball never surpassed Bleach, even though Bleach was not the best, not really the third best selling, other than in 2008. There was always like other manga that were a little bit above it. They were all manga that no one would actually argue that they were part of the big three, right? For example, the third best selling manga, like I'm looking at random year of Oricon, 2011. The best selling manga the best selling manga of the year was One Piece and Naruto, but like the third best selling was Blue Exorcist. No one is actually arguing that Blue Exorcist should be in the big three. There's also Gintama. Now, there was actually a little bit of an argument that you can have for Gintama. It's a big manga. Clearly, at a certain point, was a little bit more popular, at least in Japan. Came out around the same time. And again, Gintama was actually pretty popular in Japan. And it is now quite popular in the West. But Gintama actually only started getting popular in here when the second season of Gintama came out, which was already like 2011 or 2012. Again, that is past the time that this term was coined, like 5-6 years, if not more, after the term was coined. I don't know. I don't have a script, so I just kind of tend to ramble a little bit. But I think I made my point, so I'm just going to leave this thing here. Again, there's going to be a video on the screen probably right now about the history of the big three. That one was scripted. That one took me a little bit of research that I did last year. And if you watched it till here, thank you very much. And I'll see you next video.